Good evening, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me. I am your host, Courtney C., a 27-year veteran of the media, and I am so happy to be able to bring you Crime Crunchies. And we are going to be talking again about Nancy Guthrie. We are on day, I think it's 117, and I'm sticking with it. I'm not leaving Nancy until Nancy has justice. And tonight I'm going to be doing a quick recap of my theory of how I believe the family knows that I believe the family knows who took Nancy. And then I am going to talk about a few updates and a few other items that have been in the news that support my theory, and we will get into it. Now, I am an anti-super sticker, anti-super chat. I don't want any of your stickers. The more I go online, the more I see other creators who I love and I respect. I'm not begging on any creators. I love all the creators, but it seems like people are just asking for stickers these days. And I don't want you to send stickers. I just want you to go buy some groceries and hug your kids, So I don't want any of that stuff. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. Please do subscribe and like. That's all I ask. So if you are new to the channel, have not caught a live, or have not watched a replay, I'm going to go over my theory so that it's clear what I'm talking about. I have been following this case since day dot. And it isn't just because Nancy is Savannah Guthrie's mom. I don't watch legacy TV. I've never watched the Today Show. I had an 82-year-old mother who I took care of, and I just sincerely could not imagine this happening to any loved one. So, plus it's been a head scratcher. I've gone down every single rabbit hole that I could think of as far as theories and motives. I've done research. I've put PowerPoint presentations together on what all the motives were, because there's nothing that has been clear. And I actually ended up going to Nancy's home in Tucson, and it wasn't until that day in early May that things just kind of just came clear. Things started clicking in my brain. And as of right now, as of May 28th, I have not seen anything come out in the news that has changed my mind yet on a theory. I am completely open to changing my theory if we get new information. And of course, this is all speculation and my opinion only, and for entertainment purposes. But if we get new information and blah, 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 I'm happy to change my opinion. I genuinely just want to figure out what happened to this lady. And I super just want her to be found and returned to her family at this point. Of course, there might be a lot going on behind the scenes that obviously we don't know about. So again, a lot of this is speculation. So I'm just going to dive in and not be too chatty. Again, just replaying what my theory is. I do believe that the family knows who took Nancy. I don't know that they have a name of the person, but I do believe that they were aware of something going on in the background with Savannah. And we're going to actually look at a couple articles tonight that just came out that support that. And so I think people, there's the wrench attack thing kind of came out. We're going to talk about that tonight as well. I don't think it's a wrench attack, though, and we'll talk about it. But the reason why I believe that this is somebody who knew Savannah is I watched Savannah's interview with Hoda, not frame by frame, but phrase by phrase. And I feel like I can read people. When you look at somebody and you're like, that's not the whole story. It's not anything unique. It's just something that I have, a bit of a talent doing. And I'm just like, she's not saying some stuff. And there were a lot of questions I had after watching the interview where what she was saying just wasn't making sense. And so when I really went in and dug into the interview and did an analysis, it really just backed up that it wasn't what she said. At times it was the opposite of what she said. And the points that I really picked up is the very first thing her brother Cam says to her is, "This is you. This is you, Savannah." And she says, "Do you think it's me?" And I'm paraphrasing, of course. And he says, "Yeah, I think it is." And Cam immediately went to kidnap for ransom. And I cannot think of any scenario where you're going to walk in and not find your mother and immediately go to kidnap. I do believe that she probably had been contacted for several months leading up to this. It was probably electronically. It could have been via email or text. There are plenty of ways to hide your footprint. I think Proton, Signal, there's some email and some chat, and I'm not an expert, believe me, but I believe that there are ways for people to be able to protect their identity. And I think Signal is something that the government uses. I don't know if it's encrypted or what it is, but it's very possible that she's been contacted for a while in the past, and there could have been something escalating in the background. And so again, my theory, where I've gone through everything, and I really feel like this is not money based. I feel like this is a abduction for retaliation. And it could be something as simple as her being in a very cutthroat environment. Apparently there's, some rumors, some shows I've seen where they talk about how maybe she's not been very nice to people. It could be as simple as somebody asking her for a favor or for a job, and she ignored them, denied them, told them to pound sand, and they, just got angry. They probably obsessed over it and snapped. Okay. And while it sounds highly unlikely, it happens all the time. Life is stranger than fiction. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Hello. So when we're thinking about some of the other things that have supported the family knowing who took Nancy and that there was this undercurrent happening, some of my main things are we've learned, and a lot of this, I've learned some things just from people commenting that have, ties to the first responder team. I have somebody that watched my show whose uncle was one of the sheriffs that went to the scene. And at first we were thinking that Annie was telling law enforcement that day that Nancy could have walked off or, whatever. But my viewer said, no, her uncle, who was one of the first responders, said Annie kept trying to tell them that she could have been kidnapped. And how would she know that? Live streamers on the Nancy G are and will be in Vegas tonight. Yes. I've already met a couple. I was going to talk about it at the end of the show. I'm in Vegas right now. And I don't know if you're in Vegas, Jenny, but thank you for saying hello. I met Derek Levasseur with Crime Weekly and Detective Perspective. And I saw Josh Ritter earlier today with Courtroom Confidential. And I was just like, thumbs up. Okay, so getting back to the story here. And again, if you are a regular, hi, Joe. I want to say hello to Joe. If you're a regular, this is probably some repeat information, but I want to respect people who are new to the show and are catching up. So I'm repeating some of this, but it helps me to talk through this, because sometimes when I'm talking through this with you guys, more information or thoughts come to my mind, and you guys chime in. And so we're all helping each other. So Annie's telling law enforcement that mom was kidnapped. Very unusual situation. Very low percentage of people actually wanting to kidnap an 84-year-old woman. Okay. Yes, she's in at least $1 million property. Who knows what kind of money she has? But Chris McDonough on the Interview Room the other night, he was on The Lab, I think. He was on a show called The Lab, and they were talking about it. And Chris said he's done research, and his wife Karen is an investigative journalist. And they did research, and Nancy does not have Bitcoin. And he did research, and he said Savannah does not have Bitcoin. And I'm not sure how he figured that out, because if you've got $45 million net worth, how do you know what's in a portfolio? But, as far as what he feels like she doesn't have Bitcoin. And we're going to talk about wrench attacks again later. And that's been the big buzzword this week. Again, on our bingo card for 2026, let's see, we've had signal sniffer, Wi-Fi, zappers, wrench attacks. We've learned more things this year than we could shake a stick at. So again, who's going to go to kidnap? Very low percent of 84-year-olds who are kidnapped. And yes, if they're kidnapped, taken, murdered, yes, it's typically a family member. And yes, there's still tons of people who feel it's a family member. But I mean, just the other night on Police Off the Cuff, they were talking about it. There's no way that if this was a family member, that they wouldn't have already done a freaking ticker tape parade with A and T, or just T. Okay? They would have a freaking ticker tape parade with floats and Mardi Gras beads. If this was a family member, because this sheriff's department has such a black eye. They've been kicked in the butt and embarrassed. So embarrassed. They have no pride or ego left because of this leadership. I'm not blaming them. We all know what the nanny nanos is, okay? But if they had proof that it was one of the family members, they would have had that proof in probably the first 30 days. Quick, low-hanging fruit. Because what did they do? They immediately went to Annie's house. Zoom. Do not pass go. Do not pass $200. They immediately, that's the last person who saw her. They took the car. Took 48 days to get the car back. Of the 48 days before they got the car back, I would imagine 7 to 10 days of that was actual forensics. 38 days of that was probably ordering a new headliner, new upholstery, new dashboard, new plastics, new buttons, new this, new that, because they tore the car apart. Okay? They tore the car apart, and Nancy didn't just, float out of the air. Her spirit, her soul might have, but she didn't. And they took Nancy's car, and there would have been so much DNA all over that car. Just an incredible amount of DNA. Luminol. They luminoled the house. They looked at cell phone records. They looked at, yes, and even the weird text where somebody asked for, where's the Bitcoin? They're waiting for it. But they didn't find anything. And I know people, even after this, they're going to say, you're wrong, Courtney. It's the family. You can't convince me otherwise. And that's fine. I'm not here to convince anyone otherwise. I've gone down the path. I'm not saying, again, anything's still on the table. And I say this, The family has a little spot on the table in my mind, because until this thing is solved, we don't know what's going to pop up. But as of right now, I would say at least 90% plus, it's not the family. They would have easily, this guy would probably have already had his arraignment. He probably would have already waived his right to a speedy trial. I mean, we'd be that far in at this point. Okay. And they would not be walking around with their tails between their legs at this point. I do believe that the feds are probably leading this investigation. The family is done with Nanos, is not communicating with them. But going back to, so taking the family off, for one moment, I thought that this could have been a South American theft group, which are very organized. They typically don't hurt people or kidnap. They just go in and steal luxury items, take pictures, post it on social media, and whatnot. But I don't think this is that, even though supposedly they could be escalating with their violence. Let me see. So I don't understand. They went after A&T and went after Luke with a search warrant. Were they just fishing? Yes. So you don't get a warrant for no reason. And what is probably the three people that were detained with the SWAT teams shortly after, where everybody was thinking, oh, they've got him. These happen to be people that their cell phones probably pinged in the area around the time. One of them was a delivery driver, we know. The other one we don't know about. And so, yes, they got a search warrant because this is a high-profile case. It did not go anywhere, and it was just a bunch of hoopla because the media was involved. I mean, they had Brian Enton past the perimeter. They had him in the perimeter. So I think that this was just a regular situation where they got a search warrant and they detained these people and took them in for questioning, and then later determined that they didn't have anything to do with it and let them go. It's just because of the media attention on this case that it blew up. And I know I was hoping that they got their guy. I think they may be building the case. That's what I'm hoping. They don't talk about anything. Has your source said how C's relationship is with T? I don't know how C's relationship is with T. I don't know how any of them, how they interact with each other. The only thing I can think of is I just believe that the siblings are very close, and I'm going to make an assumption here that they are supporting T, because the picture of Savannah and Annie and T walking out together in solidarity. And in Savannah's interview, when Hoda asked her, about her siblings, the first thing Savannah says is she compliments them both. And she says, my siblings are amazing. They have superhero powers. And the way that she sets that sentence up and she starts describing her siblings with compliments is honestly because she does feel like this is because of her. And she has so much guilt. In her mind, she probably doesn't understand how her siblings aren't turning their backs on her. I mean, think about it. If you have a brother and a sister, you're the celebrity, something's gone on in the background, you screwed something up by not, whatever it is, communicating, giving attention, helping, whatever it is that the perp wanted. And then your mother, your precious mother, who they treat her like a saint. She was just a wonderful, everything that they wanted to be. She's called the matriarch of the family. And if somebody did something to your mother because of what you have going on in your life, I think Savannah's next biggest fear, other than wanting her mother back, is her siblings turning against her, because there's probably family dynamics where siblings would turn against you, but they have stuck together. They're supporting Savannah. And again, it's just another way that tells me that this is, tied to Savannah, even though, yes, I do have a source, and you mentioned it, Deborah, or who was it? Betty. Hi, Betty. You mentioned that I'm in Vegas. My sister is actually with me, and it's a mutual friend who works with Cam, and didn't pry because he's respectful, didn't dig, even though I really wanted him to, not because I'm nosy, but because I care. And it's like, I just want to know if something's going to happen. But, Cam 100% said this is 100% linked to Savannah. I've tried to reach out to Chris McDonough. I messaged Nancy Grace's channel, because I just want to talk to somebody about this theory. Everyone's still just trying to theorize, and I know that it's probably not a big deal, but for me, Cam is a no nonsense kind of guy. Still water runs deep, and I just have to think that if Cam and the family knows that this is somebody who was fixated with Savannah, that it will help us to fine tune. I think if we could fine tune what happened, I think our professionals who have law enforcement experience could go back in, and these FBI profilers like Ann Burgess, Dr. Gary Brocato, they can go in. If we know, if we really think that, yeah, this is an obsessed fan, fixated fan, then they could go in and start profiling and, dig deeper in it, so that we can just figure out, what happened. Doesn't mean it's solved, And like I said, if new stuff comes out next week, I'll be the very first person to say, because when Jennifer Coffindaffer talked about wrench attacks, and now she was the first one that used the term wrench attack, and I've seen it on a couple other shows now. I sat up and I really thought about it, but I'm crossing it out. I just don't think it is. But I think it's very plausible. I think it's a strong possibility, for sure. Much, much stronger on a wrench attack than a family member. I do think that a lot of what has happened, and a lot of decisions that the perp made, were meant to hurt Savannah. I don't think money is the main thing. They feel like the ransom notes were real, but it's just like the money really wasn't the thing. I don't know if that was just to rub salt in the wound, and to, I think that this person really wants attention. And what a great way of rubbing it in her face by sending a ransom note that they really didn't want money from, to TMZ and a Tucson TV station where she used to work. I mean, wow. Talk about being on the main stage, If you're wanting attention, that's getting attention. And Savannah cannot ignore that. She cannot ignore that. And Cameron is totally innocent. Cameron has nothing to do with this. Cameron is, no. These people are these are normal, loving people. I really, truly, truly believe that. And he said 100% it's Savannah, and it's not her fault. It's not her fault. And I don't think this is a romantic fixation. I think that this, I mean, I'm actually leaning more toward last couple shows. I think this is more of a professional. I think this could be, and maybe not a professional, like work type thing, but we know that the person who wrote the ransom notes is educated, has good spelling, grammar, things make sense. And I'm sure that they probably think that they are an equal to her. But I mean, it could be somebody who just, wanted a break or a name drop in the business, somebody who wanted a job and thought that they were entitled. When you think you're entitled to something and you think that you deserve something and you're worth something, and then somebody that you respect, craps on you by either ignoring or sloughing you off, turning away, turning you down, especially if you have a personality disorder, a little narcissism, your pride gets hurt. And if it starts to fester, that's where people go off the rails. A normal person can deal with rejection and maybe have their own little temper tantrum on the inside, or get pissed or cry or stamp their feet or whatever. But then they go on and they heal and they move on. But somebody who's just ready to blow, a ticky-tocky clock, just waiting for something like this to happen. Never say never. There's some people out there that, I mean, and this person is ruthless. And I definitely think the ransom notes, the things that they said in the notes that only somebody who was at the scene with the mother, that's very hurtful. I wish they would release the ransom notes. I think that if they really needed help, if the feds did not have a line on somebody, they would need the public's help. February 10th is when the video of Porch Guy came out, and I'll never forget that day. I've never seen anything like this in my life. And it was just terrifying. And they came out with the video and they said, we need the public's help. And, all the professionals online, they all agree there's more video. So why aren't they sharing more video? Why aren't they getting us a AI generated, colorized photo? They could use their magic machines and give us a face under the mask. They could, give us more video. They could give us the ransom notes so we could see the cadence and the way that they're talking. But they're not asking for help. And if they're not asking for help, then that tells me that they don't need our help. And Nanos, somebody talked to him. He did a people interview, and he said, we've got thousands and thousands of videos. What are thousands and thousands of videos? I mean, thousands and thousands of hours of video? I don't know. Because again, the community where her house is, it's, definitely out there. And the streets are windy. They're not marked very well. And there are several ways in and out, but it would only be certain intersections. And all you really need to do is lay out the intersections and get some camera of cars going in and out, plus more cell phone pings. I mean, Joe, you were talking about Luke, who had been detained. That was pretty quick. So let me address this. Wisco. I don't believe it has anything to do with Savannah at all. I do believe family is involved. Not quite sure why nobody's willing to believe that. I'm willing to believe that if there was any reason to think that they were on day 117. If the family was involved, they would have been locked up. So let me just ask you guys this. If it was the family, how is somebody not detained by now? With all they did all the evidence by day 48 or whatever it was. They had the car returned. They had all the financials, all the cell phones. So I genuinely, convince me. If it is the family, then how is it that somebody hasn't been arrested? Because they have all the evidence on the family. And I'm happy to go down that path. I just think that by this point, with the pride of this law enforcement team and how they're so embarrassed by how their sheriff has behaved, I think that they would have had a freaking marching band putting someone in jail. And yeah, they absolutely could be building a strong case. I completely agree with that. But honestly, they would have already had all the evidence. They lock people up. If they had blood evidence in the car, they'd be locked up. And that could have happened on day 20, day 30, day 40, day 50. They're not going to wait day 117. And somebody in my chat had mentioned that it took them, 7 or 8 months to get that singer David for the murder of that girl, where they found her in the trunk. And so I dug into that. And the reason why it took so long for them to make an arrest is witnesses were not willing to talk. Because that made perfect sense to me. It's like, okay, why did it take this long for them to arrest singer called David? And the report is that the witnesses or people involved weren't willing to talk. And so they finally got, evidence back, cameras, whatever it was. They got everything back, and then they arrested him. But I think honestly that there would have been so much evidence that by now a family member it's low hanging fruit. Again, they went directly to family. And no one's even been detained. Those 3 people were detained. They haven't even detained a family member. They've not even been detained. And that's the very first thing that would happen. But if it looks like it is, then I'll be the first one to say I'm wrong. I have no problem. I don't care what it is. I don't have to be right. I don't have to be wrong. We just want justice to happen. I'm not willing to go down on any hill. I don't care. I just want justice done. That's my main thing. This isn't about right or wrong. It's not about me having to be right. I'm just, in my mind, I think that based on a mutual coworker of Cam and him saying it's Savannah, her interview, the fact that law enforcement did not treat this like a search and rescue until day 2 after Savannah got into town and had called Senator Mark Kelly and then got in the horn with Nanos. Day 2, they changed. I wish that they would release the 911 call. There is somebody who, I don't know how they got a hold of the scanner, the police scanner. And I need to pull that video up. I want to play that and watch that with you guys. I'll probably do that when I get back home. Because, of course, my internet is weird. I also think that this is retaliation. and could be professional against Savannah. Somebody could have been jealous of her. And again, she didn't do what somebody wanted her to do. And, you know, hurting her with this ransom note, very, very public. You know, in addition to her mother being taken, very public through TMZ. It's almost like somebody kicking her while she's down. The Tucson station where she worked, and then 5 days before she's going to the Olympics, and she had to have studied hours. Think about it. All the countries, all the Olympic athletes and their names and what they do. I mean, this person is a mastermind. This plan that they put together, if this is retaliation against Savannah, this person is ruthless. And if she has an ego, being a celebrity at the Today Show, sitting in that chair, and if she's not been nice to coworkers, she's been bitchy, wow. Talk about taking her down. There's no angle that they didn't come at her and screw with her. I mean, this person, oh my gosh, I hope they get whoever this is, because this person planned and plotted. It's almost like they just sat around thinking, okay, how can I hurt her the most? How can I take her down? Not a notch, but 10 notches. I'll post it because you know what? There's sibling rivalry. Olivia de Havilland, I'm old, okay? I mean, old, not old, but old enough. Olivia de Havilland was this star in Gone with the Wind in 1939, and she had a sister, and I can't remember what the sister's name is, but they were both actresses, both beautiful, and just cutthroat with each other. It happens. So here's the interesting thing, and I'm going to go into some of my articles tonight, and I'll start with this one. So let me share this, change this. And while I'm doing this, I always ask you guys to please remember to subscribe and like. Please, please. All right. So apparently, and this is as of yesterday, not giving up. Today's Savannah Guthrie quietly drops over $500,000 on private investigators in desperate attempt to find mom, Nancy, months after abduction. Savannah Guthrie has quietly dropped hundreds of thousands on private investigators in a desperate attempt to find her mother months after she was abducted from her home. And I have to think that while they would love to get whoever's done this, I think that they're really looking for her remains. That's my gut feeling. The U.S. Sun can report that the Today anchor 54 has shelled out around $500,000 to keep the search going for Nancy, 84, after losing faith in the official investigation. Though many have lost hope that Nancy will ever be found, Savannah has told everyone involved that the search will continue for as long as necessary. And I don't blame her. I'm surprised she waited this long. And I think that she's had this PI for at least a month or so now. I would have thought that the family got a PI like almost right away. A lot of people do. Quote, she is not prepared to stop looking for her mother. She feels that depending only on the official investigation is not enough anymore. That's why she's investing so heavily in private investigators and outside specialists, unquote. The source said that the heartbroken daughter has hired an entire independent team who are, quote, working leads every day, unquote, to help bring her beloved mother home. This top-notch team includes former agents, security experts, and investigators, the insider claimed. According to the insider, the veteran journalist became disillusioned with the official investigation. Quote, she became increasingly disappointed with how communication from authorities changed over time, unquote, they added. Quote, what once felt urgent started to feel far more routine, unquote, and I agree with that. Quote, when Savannah learned there would no longer be direct contact with the sheriff, she took that very personally, unquote, the insider continued, which I understand. I mean, even though they probably weren't impressed by him, they still want to make sure that this is high up on the priority, and they dismantled. I mean, there were so many people, hundreds, everybody was on this case, and then it's almost like, okay, well, we can't find her. This guy did a really good job of hiding himself, so I guess we're on to the next scenario. Quote, she felt the family was being pushed further away from the center of the investigation, unquote. Meanwhile, a second insider explained, quote, the financial cost has become enormous, but Savannah doesn't care about the money, unquote. Quote, right now, every dollar is worth spending if it helps bring her mother home. By now, the costs have climbed well into the mid-six figures. And remember, Savannah was once willing to pay a ransom, so spending big on the search is nothing new for her, unquote. Quote, she keeps telling friends the same thing. The family can't stop searching. Hope is the only thing driving her right now, unquote. The second insider claimed Savannah is still emotionally devastated despite her smiley demeanor on the morning show each day. And I agree with that. She's ruined. She's ruined. She might be smiling on the outside, but on the inside, this is something that she's probably never, ever going to really fully survive from or recover from. But she still believes there's a chance for her mother can be found, and that belief is what keeps the private search going every single day. Rob Shooter's Naughty But Nice Substack was the first to report on Savannah's ongoing investigator efforts into Nancy's disappearance. Blah, blah, blah. And the rest of it is just background. And I do believe that she's just trying to find her mother's remains. All right, so what happens if the PI solves it? Do they turn it over to the FBI or call the police? How does that work? So that's a very good question. And Chris McDonough, they talked about this the other night on the lab. And if a private investigator uncovers something that is pertinent to the case, he is legally responsible for handing that over. I don't think they can act on it. They need to hand it over to whoever's in charge, Pima County Sheriff Department or the feds. Apparently, if they find something out that's like the lead, something that's really going to crack the case, and they don't turn it over, they can get charged with, what is it, impeding a crime? I know I'm not saying it right, guys, but they can get charged with basically not helping the case. There's something. Forgive me. But yeah, they can get in big trouble. And if they come across a clue or information, they're not allowed to act on it. They have to turn it over to law enforcement, and law enforcement do it. And there's a good side and there's a downside. If the good side is if they actually uncover something that can help the case move forward, they hand it over to the police. That's fantastic. The police can take it over and then, do legal whatever. Impeding an investigation. Thank you, Nursey Kens. Impeding an investigation. Yes, they can get charged with that, and that they can get in trouble, so they won't do it. There's an understanding with PIs. But the downside is the PI could land on something juicy, turn it over to the investigator, the police, and law enforcement then sits on it. Now, I don't think that would be the case because this is so national. But who knows? Someone could get the information, go on vacation. I don't know. It's like, do we really trust that if they got dropped, really good information they needed to follow up on, that they would actually then go do it? Yes, I do think that they would. But there is, the possibility that they could sit on it. You don't have any control over it, is basically what it is. But the PI, it still gets it further. And I'm so glad that they have a private investigator team. I'm so happy to hear this. And apparently, like I said, they've had this team for about a month. All right, so let's dig into another goodie. Okay, this has a video, but I'm not going to play the video because I'm going to read the article. It's not as much fun to read the article, but we'll get the gist. I like watching the videos. Oopsie, zoom in. But I'm going to take my interweb and I'm going to roll with it. Former investigator thinks suspects in Nancy. Oh, hold on. This is not the right one. All right, hold on, guys. Talk amongst yourselves. Sorry. I'm not perfect. Usually I have my crap together and I don't. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Nancy Guthrie case. Cop details why she may have known her kidnapper. And again, this is something that just came out yesterday. And again, I'm not thinking of anything crazy. This just makes sense to me. To me personally, this is logical to me of how I come to they know who it is. They don't have a name, but they know that there's something been going on with Savannah and somebody lost their crap and have done something horrible. Hold on, I gotta drink my Coke Zero. What would my life be like without that? Okay, so as the Nancy Guthrie investigation approaches its 5th month with no significant updates or potential suspects, a retired law enforcement officer has suggested the alleged kidnappers may have had other motives besides money. Former cop Charles Brewer, who has been closely following Nancy's case on his YouTube channel, posited a new theory in his recent video titled Nancy Guthrie Case. We may have been looking at the wrong person. It's not a new theory. Blech. In the 21-minute video, Brewer aired his doubts about money being the key motivation. It's not money. That was just them kicking her. Nancy, the 84-year-old mother of today's Savannah Guthrie, has been missing since February 1st. Blah, blah, blah. While many have suspected the alleged abduction was financially motivated due to Savannah's TV star status, Brewer offered an alternative viewpoint. If this truly was a celebrity-targeted kidnapping connected directly to Savannah Guthrie, why has there been no meaningful ransom communication? Let me watch the comments. Correct. He continued, why leave over $1 million untouched? Why create ransom-style messages that reportedly make little sense? Why no sustained negotiations or proof of life? No sophisticated extortion strategy? Because if somebody kidnaps for money, money usually becomes a priority, Brewer added. But here, the behavior feels chaotic, disconnected, even emotionally driven, or possibly connected to something far more personal than the public originally believed. Earlier in the case, an alleged ransom note was sent to TMZ and other outlets offering to return Nancy in exchange for cryptocurrency Bitcoin. The value of the Bitcoin demanded was in the millions, and the wallet address provided in the letter was legitimate. Other alleged ransom notes and letters were seen later. This included a letter where the sender allegedly apologized, claiming they didn't realize how serious Nancy's heart condition was and that she had gone to be with God. Brewer stated that he wasn't pointing fingers at anyone specific, including Nancy's family, but he said that investigators should consider a potential emotional connection to Nancy or the Guthrie family. Listen, quote, this is Brewer talking, quote, listen, if the public, including myself, was comfortable enough early on in discussing whether this crime was connected to Savannah Guthrie's fame, her wealth, and public visibility, then it is equally responsible to ask whether this case may somehow connect to someone else inside Nancy's immediate world. He continued, not necessarily family directly, but maybe somebody connected to them like a friend, an associate, maybe a business relationship. Or what about a debt, a dangerous person orbiting somewhere close to the family that nobody fully recognized at the time because after more than 100 days, something still feels off, something still feels untouched. And I do think I think it's a potential professional relationship with Savannah. Piedmont County Sheriff Chris Nanos previously ruled out the Guthrie family, blah, 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 blah. Any blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's the gist. And then he's got this video, and it's probably worthwhile watching, the Brew Crew Beyond 50, where he goes and he talks a little bit more. But again, this is not anything new. They've said since the beginning that it's probably somebody that Nancy had crossed paths with, but I don't think it's somebody Nancy crossed paths with. I think it's someone in Savannah's life, and they hurt her by hurting her mother. And, honestly, looking at this because I haven't really looked at and I probably need to look at what all the notes said as far as what we've been told. But the second ransom note, let's see, included a letter where the sender allegedly apologized, claiming they didn't realize how serious Nancy's heart condition was and that she had gone too far, or she'd gone to be with God. This also tells me that I truly believe that whoever took Nancy, I don't think they had done it before. And I'm probably going way left field right now. But I mean, they hurt her at the front door, which is, you're not supposed to hurt them. You're supposed to keep them alive. So it was bungled. And while they were really smart with the tech and the Wi-Fi and the GPS and the phone and the blah, blah, maybe this person, wanted to hurt Savannah, didn't think for a minute that Nancy was going to die. And maybe they really had a moment where they're like, whoa, I went too far. I don't know. It says woman. Yes. I've thought that this could be a woman, Joe. I have thought that the mastermind could be a woman. Porch Guy's not a woman. Some people feel like Porch Guy is a woman. I don't think Porch Guy is a woman. I think the mastermind, this could be a woman spurned for whatever reason. I mean, women can get, talking about ruthless. Women can get, they can think about things. I could see this being a woman, Joe. I don't know. Maybe that's too far afield. Yeah. Women, men can write, but I think women are, I'm not trying to be sexist. I think maybe women might be better spellers and writers than men. I'm probably going to get yelled at for that. But I don't know. I can see the mastermind actually being a woman, because jealousy, professional jealousy. I'm sorry. My mind is worrying. too much compassion. I can't imagine a woman wanting to take your enemy's mother, but you know that would destroy them. If you really wanted just to destroy your nemesis, I mean, that's like an Achilles heel, if ever. And if it was somebody who knew. So Dr. Gary Mercado has stated, with his profiling, that this could be a wolf in sheep's clothing, somebody who fits in and, appears normal in life, regular person, but it is just a monster on the inside. Too much compassion for the apology. I don't know if Nancy was asleep. There's some people who I've seen some people who have guessed that maybe she was drugged, but I don't think so. I think she was asleep when they walked in, but I think they woke her up because she did not want to leave the home. She was taken out of her home against her will, and she fought the porch guy, and he clunked her, popped her with his hand, the pistol whipped her or whatever. And he screwed up. But I will tell you, and I've an older show, I did an entire show on safety. And for anybody out there, if you ever have somebody jump in your car or try to abduct you or take you, you need to literally die fighting. Squish their eyes in, stick your fingers in their ear, do whatever you have to, because if you are taken to a second location where they have privacy and control, you're done. And it's going to be very unpleasant. And so you literally have to do everything you can to not be taken to a second location. And I wish that there was more safety information out there. But she could have thought to herself, there's no way I'm leaving here. She probably even said, you're going to have to kill me to get me out of here. And he had to get her under control. And he screwed it up. And yes, this is all supposition. Okay, guys, this is all supposition. And you know what? I'm just a person who's talking. This is all, my shows are all conversational. I'm not trying to act like I know anything. I'm really just trying to break down what might fit. And I mean, I get a lot from what you guys say. And, a lot of where I've gotten has been because of your feedback and your comments. So again, we're just armchair sleuthing, right? We're all in it together. Even people that don't agree with me that are still sitting here and watching this video, I appreciate you, because, we need to be open to everything, and we need to, I think everybody has the same goal, and the same goal is really just to get Nancy back to her family. And I mean, that's going to be tough. They're going to have to get somebody who was involved firsthand to know where they put her. That's the only way they're going to get her back. And if they don't, then they're not going to get her back. All right, my last article was, I'll probably not pull it up. Former investigator thinks suspects in Nancy Guthrie's disappearance are hidden in 50,000 leads. And I'm sure that there are leads, and they're bogged down in leads. But again, I'm hoping that the FBI is leading this charge now, because Nanos is incompetent. Oh, my sister is here, everybody. I'm on live. So I'm going to wrap up, but I want to tell everybody again, I'm at CrimeCon. I have my beautiful sister, Tanya. You want to come say hi? Sure. Come say hi to all my crime crunchies. This is my sister, Tanya.
Hi, crime crunchies. I hope to see you.
Yay.
We're here.
Yes. Thank you, Tanya. Yeah. So we're very excited. And we've got some people that said, hi, sister. And I have to tell you, so I'm at CrimeCon, and I met Derek Levasseur tonight. He's on Crime Weekly and Detective Perspective, and I've been watching him since he was on Big Brother because I've applied to Big Brother twice. I've applied to Survivor 6 times. So I shook his hand and I said, I'm fangirling. And then I saw Josh Ritter, who's Courtroom Confidential. But I have to tell you guys, I'm so proud because I'm a new channel. In the program, I bought an ad. And then I realized I bought an ad in the program. And then I didn't put my name on it. Doesn't say with your host Courtney C. Well, I guess they'll have to go to Crime Crunchies and get my name. Big Brother, yes, love Big Brother. I would rather get on Big Brother than Survivor because you get food on Big Brother, even if it's slop, and you're not out in the jungle and peeing in the trees. Oh, Jenny said, hello, Sister Crunchy. Woohoo! Sister Crunchy. Woohoo! Okay, so tomorrow, Nancy Grace is bet 10 on red for me. I'll pay you back. You know what? Maybe I will, Joe. I don't know. I don't gamble, but bet 10 on red. I'll do it. I'll bet 10 on red tomorrow and we'll see what happens. Okay. I'll tell you what happens. I'll do it. No, I will. I'll do it. Okay. So Nancy Grace is starting it off tomorrow at noon. And then there's another afternoon break about Nancy Guthrie. So tomorrow night I am planning on going live and talking about anything new that came up during CrimeCon. I'm kind of bummed because the next CrimeCon in 2027 isn't until September, but it's in Orlando, which is cool. But it's like a year and a half away. Do you know that the Perp was investigating the Guthries from June 2025 until I believe that? I believe it. Because this was a long game. This person had patience. Very much so. I have no doubt. So again, thank you so much. Please subscribe and like. And I appreciate all your comments, your feedback. We're in it together. We're in it to the end. I'm not giving up. Even if this is a year down the road, I'll be the Nancy Guthrie channel. I don't care. We're doing it. So until my next time, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And I will catch you on the flip side. Toodaloo.